Both audiences in place. In the meantime, how's your spring? Yeah, right? Summer. Welcome, everyone. I always laugh because I get to speak to the in-present audience first, and I've already welcomed them, but welcoming is always a good practice anyway. We're glad you're here with us at the Center for Spiritual Living Bellingham on this gorgeous day. And we have joining us for the first time in a long time, Lisa Harmon.
Yeah. Yes, and I also want to introduce a new bass player. We've got Kyle over here.
Kyle.
And Dave in the back on drums.
Yes, we've got almost the full complement of the Sweet Goodbyes here today. So it's going to be a rockin' morning.
We might steal Kyle too, who knows?
That might be good. So why don't we all stand and sing along with these guys?
All right. Take me to the water and I'll dive right in. I'm ready to let go of everything that's been. I said, take me to the mountain and I'll climb on up. From the highest peak, beauty's gonna fill my cup. I say yes, I say yes, yes. I know all is well. I say yes, yes, I say yes. I say yes, yes, knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I say yes, 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 knowing all is well. I say yes, yes, I say yes, yes. I know all is well. I said to throw routine out the door. When I'm scared, I know it leads me to something more. Widen my gaze and see all there is. Take a leap of faith, I'm gonna find that bliss. I say yes, yes, I say yes, yes. I know all is well. All right, let's sing yes. I say yes, yes, I say yes. I say yes, yes, knowing all is well. I say yes, yes, I say yes, yes. I say yes, 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 knowing all is well. I say yes, yes, I say yes, yes. I know all is well. Let's throw that routine out. I said throw routine right out the door. When I'm scared, I know it leads me to something more. Widen my gaze and see all there is. Take a leap of faith, I'm gonna find that bliss. I say yes, I say yes. I know all is well. I say yes, yes, I say yes. I say yes, yes, knowing all is well. I say yes, yes, I say yes, yes. I say yes, 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 knowing all is well. I say yes, yes, I say yes, yes. I know all is well. I say yes. Oh, now you all say yes. We know all is well. I say yes. Come on, we all say yes. We know all is well. Yes, indeed. Good morning, everyone. Why don't you take a couple minutes or a few seconds, some moments to greet those neighbors out there?
No. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't see any kids right now.
I know.
Yeah.
I just saw that little toddler.
I know.
They're probably younger than, what's it, 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably
4 or 5. Depends on the 4-year-old. Yeah. Hi.
All right, let's do it. All right, let's see. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome here.
Okay, let's see. So before we invite any kiddos, and I'm not sure we have any, have you met Nevin? Nevin and Lily, that's Nevin. She is going to be taking over for Lily in a little bit because Lily got an internship in Seattle. Rats and yay. But I wanted to let anyone with babies know that we do have set up in the classroom the live stream of the service, and we are hoping that that might be a more convenient place for babies, but we love them in here too. Just in case they start freaking out, it's available. So,
Dr. Andrea, I have a question. What are the age ranges for
it's
those?
a good question. So
The kids program.
the kids program right now is sort of like, well, these guys take the older fours, depends on the 4-year-old, on up. And they have assistance from Joe and some of his volunteers. If they have a lot of kids, they'll break off into 2 groups. But right now we're operating from a 4-5 to 11, 12-year-old kind of age range. Mostly our kids seem to be in the 7 to 10-year-old range right now. And then the babies have just started showing up recently, and we're so happy. And so you may know that there's a child care crisis going on here in our county. And so I've been trying for months, putting job postings on college web boards and things like that, and no takers, because it's such a part-time job. So the parents of the babies have been getting together saying, well, we'll do a co-op. We'll help each other out. And so we wanted to set the room up in the classroom so that they had a place to be if they needed to just take a baby and have it be a little quieter or different. So that's what's happening now. So those are the ages. Yeah, and do we have any kiddos here today? There's a little kiddo. And so, well, we'll sing to the little kiddos.
Yeah, let's this is a fun one to sing, even for us grown-ups, I feel like every time I sing this with my toddler and preschool music classes, I always feel, yeah, we all need to every day say, hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it, right? All right. 1, 2. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, it's a special place. We got Mother Nature and the human race. The world's got trees and bumblebees, rivers and lakes and the open seas, mountains and valleys and animals too, and a sun that shines on me and you. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray pray for the world, it's a special place. We got Mother Nature and the human race. We got Mother Nature and the human race. If we sing it, they will come, right? All right.
Good morning. I'm Deb. I'm practitioner of the day along with Ronna Biggs, Joanne Allison, and Patty Rosbrook, who is going to be a practitioner in about a month. So, welcome. Please turn your phones down if you have them. And Patty, can you bring that up? This is our prayer vessel, and it lives back by the curtain. And it's always there. And it's always available for you to put a request for a prayer in there. And we will get back to you, either by email, in person if you wish, or just do the prayer for you. So please, whenever you need, there's some papers back there to fill out, and you just put it right on in there. And we check it all the time. Thank you. Okay, join me in an opening invocation. As I stand in this sacred space and look out and see all these divine human beings, I am aware of the Spirit that runs through, between, within, and in all of us. And the Spirit is called, it's intelligent, it's called the Infinite One. It's called many, many different things. And as I breathe and I listen, I'm aware that it is intelligent. It is creative. It is love. It is peace. And it is always new, fresh, and in motion. Each one of us is an individual, maybe quirky, manifestation of this one intelligence. And we're each here for a purpose. We're each here on purpose. And that purpose is to be the most full-hearted you and me that we can possibly be. To offer our gifts, our talents, our love, out into the world, to those people we see every day, to those people we run into every once in a while, to our community, and to the world. And I feel deep gratitude knowing that for each one of us, that is our purpose. I welcome all of us to this place of love, laughter, and learning. And I let my words go, knowing that they're out there doing their job. And I say, and so it is.
Let's go ahead and do a little musical meditation together. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Let's sing that again. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. My heart is open. My heart is open. I am awake. There is knowing of love, love, center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. My heart is open, I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. My heart is open, I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. My heart is open, my heart is open, I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Well, Lisa Harmon here. She's got a new song that she's going to share with us today. Do you have anything you want to say about this song?
Well, I sort of laughed to myself because Tabor asked me, do you want to lead a special? And at first I was like, maybe. But then I saw Andrea's talk for today, which is about kind of finding it is whatever you do and having it be the thing that you bring into the world and having that be enough. And that's what the song happens to be about. So it was the perfect fit, and I thought, how could I possibly say no? Since we're in the practice of saying yes here anyway, right? So it's nice to be here. Thank you. It's so hard to be quiet. I'm the only one looking back at me. Inspiration comes curling up at my feet. Where is the joy in the air? It used to be laughing. There's too magic to see when the light catches it right. Here is what I offer. Here is what I do. Here's what I bring to life and you. There's so much to say, but the tasks of the day take words from me. So much to do to keep the dance moving in time. Where is the moment to breathe in the sunshine? There's poetry in resting through the night. Here
choice. Slow it down, slow everything down. Wait for moments, wait for your voice. Here's what I offer. Here's what I do. Here's what I bring to life and you do. Show me what you offer. Proclaim what you can do. Here you can only be what's true for you. And it's enough, it's enough, it's enough. It is enough. It's enough, it's enough, it's enough. It is enough. It's enough, it's enough, you're enough. It is enough. It's enough, it's enough. It is enough.
Super fun. You're right. We could stop right there.
I have to admit, you were on my mind when I wrote that.
Aww. Good, good, good. Well, I have my phone here because there's a poem that William Stafford wrote. You may or may not know William Stafford, but he was a conscientious objector in World War II, which was not a popular move. He was very much following his Quaker heart. And so they put him in what he amounted to a concentration camp in Oregon, and they were all starving in there. And the townspeople that were next to this camp began to bring food to them. And he developed a practice out of that experience of writing a poem before he got out of bed every single day of his life. So this is just a piece of a poem called The Thread that I've read to you before, but I just wanted to pull out this little piece. There's a thread you follow. It goes among the things that change, but it doesn't change. And so I wanted to talk about living on purpose today. And it has to do with the theme of the year, which is the soul's journey, and the theme of the month, which is the inner arc of discovery. And, you know, for me as a spiritual traveler, and I know many of you have been walking a spiritual path for a while now, one of the things that's kind of paramount on the path is the thread that is uniquely mine and that is like the core truth of myself. And you would think that that thread would be obvious, but actually in my earlier years it wasn't obvious at all. You know, who exactly I am, how to live my purpose and on purpose with that purpose. And so the thread took me a while to discern. And as I practiced the inner arc of personal discovery, it became clearer and clearer and clearer what my purpose is and how to actually live it. I have to tell you that this is not part of the talk, but as I was preparing this talk, you won't believe it, I know you won't, but Dolly Parton keeps coming up. And I'll tell you why. Because Dolly Parton, of course, very, very famous for her country music and Dollywood and all of that. But the other part of Dolly Parton, that the reason it keeps coming up, is because she took all the wealth that she gained from practicing her art. And this quote, "Find out who you are and do it on purpose," was from her, because what she ended up doing in part is she realized that children who were in low income and disadvantaged situations were not having the personal experience of adults reading to them. And she began to provide books that she would send out. Her organization, still to this day, sends out books to families who can't afford to buy books and don't have the transportation opportunities to get to a library to read books to their children. So she provides that. And she also goes around the country and other countries and personally reads to children herself. So she's doing what this quote is: find out who you are and do it on purpose. So I needed to say that, I guess, because I didn't have it in the talk, but it's really a powerful story of choosing and living from that place. But to go on, about the inner arc of discovery. What I've understood in my own life is that there are two things to discover that make clear our truth. And they're sort of interesting, and so I brought some stories to speak to you about. One is a very famous story from the Hebrew Bible. Many of you have heard this story more than once. I certainly have, more than once. And I've even shared it here several times over these last 12 years. And it's the story of David and Goliath. And so I wanted to read you a particular version of that story, because most of us just got the Cliff Note version in Bible school or wherever we were, and this is a little bit more personal. So David was the youngest of 8 sons, and he lived with his family in Bethlehem during the reign of King Saul. The young man tended his father's sheep, staying with them day and night to defend them against predators. His other brothers were off helping in a vicious war with the Palestinian army. David once slayed a lion that was stealing a sheep, and another time he killed a bear that was carrying off a lamb. In both instances, he used only his slingshot. And in the long evenings before the fire, he played his harp and made up songs about God that he sang as he watched over his flocks. So David's 3 brothers were in the army, and the fiercest of the Palestinian army at that time was a man named Goliath. Goliath stood more than 9 feet tall. For 40 days, this massive figure, can you imagine 9 feet tall? Nowadays, we'd diagnose him with a disorder. But it was handy back then, apparently. So for 40 days, this massive figure stalked the edge of the cliff where it's not Palestine army, Philistine army. The Philistine armies were camping, and called across the valley to King Saul, "Choose one man to come fight with me," he would yell. "If he can kill me, the Philistines will be your servants. If I kill him, you will become our slaves." Now, that's an important part of the story, because the way battles were fought in that day was, there would be 2 armies that were fighting against each other, and they would go up onto these cliffs, and then when the sun rose, they would all go down into the valley and fight each other, and then when the sun set, they would all go back up. Seems weird to us now. So he's up on this cliff yelling across the valley saying, come on, take me on, take me on. Just one person. And if you win, ha, 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 then we'll become your servants. So no one in King Saul's army wanted to do that. Shocker, right? This guy was immense. And he was fearsome. You know, he was really this very, very fearsome warrior. Well, one day, David's father gathered bread, wheat, and cheese into a sack and told his son to take it to his brothers on the battlefront so they would have something proper to eat. Because by then, the war had been going on long enough that it was dubious about the supplies. When David arrived at the camp, he heard Goliath bellowing across the valley to the terrified soldiers. They knew that their weapons wouldn't protect them. David, on the other hand, believed that God stood by him, so he went before King Saul and volunteered to go into combat with Goliath. This is a little guy. You know, he's not 9 feet tall. He might not even be 6 feet tall. He might be my height, 5'2". And so the king was a little skeptical of David's offer. All he saw standing before him was the small shepherd in a wool frock, untrained in the art of war. He told the young man that he doubted he'd stand a chance against the giant, and the risk to his kingdom was too great in the likely event that David would fail. And this is what David said. I used to keep my father's sheep, and when a lion came and took a lamb from the flock, I went after it and delivered the lamb from its mouth and killed the lion. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion will deliver me from the hand of the Philistines. Well, King Saul could see that David was not only earnest, but he wasn't like other men, and he was kind of at his wit's end. So he offered the shepherd his coat of armor and helmet, the traditional tools of war. So it was an honor from the king, and so David put it on and started walking toward the battlefield, and he realized right away that the armor was too heavy, and he wasn't accustomed to wearing it, and so he took it off and went on with just his slingshot. At a stream in the valley, he stopped and gathered 5 smooth stones and placed them in his pouch before climbing the hill to the Philistine camp. When Goliath saw David without armor or a helmet or even a weapon, only carrying a slingshot, he cursed him and shouted, "Am I a dog that you come against me with sticks?" Breathing a quick prayer, David placed one of the smooth rocks in his slingshot and drew back the band. When he released it, the stone shot through the air, straight into the forehead of the giant, knocking him backward onto the ground. David quickly ran and grasped the giant's sword from its sheath and cut off Goliath's head. King Saul's army chased after him, and the Philistine people in a panic ran as fast as they could. The people in nearby towns shouted and danced and sang for joy with David's victory. He became the king after Saul. So that story is important in terms of you and me, believe it or not, even though these many, many centuries later, because it makes clear a really important point, which is David could not have done what he did if he was following anybody else's advice, right? If he took on that armor and tried to go into war, he would have failed because it wasn't him. And so the story rings through the centuries, I believe, because it's a teaching story of the mightiness of living our truth. Now, the other part of the story that's important to those of us on a spiritual path is that part of what directed him was those nights in front of the campfire, singing to God with songs that he had made from his heart. And the quick prayer he did before he moved with the slingshot to knock out Goliath. I don't know about you, but when I look around the world these days, I see that a lot of spiritual living has fallen by the wayside for a lot of people. That the current climate is one of commercialism, materialism, and divisiveness. And for me, the way that I've been able to live my truth is to keep on the spiritual path, even when I fall off sometimes, to actually practice spiritual living so that when the storms of life and the difficulties of life and the divisiveness of society surrounds me, I have an anchor like David. I have the understanding of who I am and that Spirit is with me. Now that didn't just happen, you know. It was a process of uncovering and revealing what was most important to me. And so the second point I want to bring you is part of what I learned in how I needed to live in order to uncover my truth and live from it, spiritually and in every other way. So I brought you another story. Is that okay? Would you like to hear it? Okay. This one, I don't know that I've ever told this story. It's a story from one of my teachers, William Martin, who is a Taoist teacher and just a brilliant, brilliant Taoist teacher. And he tells a lot of stories that are subtle, because Taoists are subtle. And this is one of them. So here's the story. It's called The Scapegoat. Long ago, a nomadic people living in a vast wilderness region of the world would tell themselves frightening stories about the anger and punishment that the gods would mete out whenever they were displeased. These people interpreted any of the natural disasters, illnesses, misfortunes, and losses that are a natural part of life to special punishments given because they had somehow not been good enough, proper enough, or that they had not believed or said the right things. In an attempt to atone for their faults, they devised an elaborate ritual designed to show their repentance. The leaders of the people would lay their hands on a goat and symbolically transfer the transgressions of the people into the goat. This goat was called the scapegoat. The goat, and this is actually true. This part of the story is actually true. The goat would then be driven alone into the wilderness to die. Should the goat accidentally wander back into their camp, it would be killed immediately. One small goat was chosen to be this year's scapegoat. He was terribly frightened when the people shouted and threw rocks at him to drive him away. He ran through the darkness until he was so tired he could run no further and stood panting, waiting for whatever wild animal would be his fate. But instead of a wild animal, he heard a kindly voice speak to him. "You look tired and hungry. Come with me, and I'll give you food and rest." The scapegoat turned and saw a man standing with a staff in his hand. The man turned and began to walk away, stopped, looked back, and said, "Well, come along." Well, the goat followed cautiously, you might imagine, too tired and hopeless to think of anything else to do. After walking a short time, they came to a small campsite with a blazing fire where several other men and women were sitting. Just beyond the fire was a large herd of goats, including two of his friends who had been scapegoats in previous years. The man said, "These are the scapegoats who had been driven out in past years. As long as people are afraid to look deeply into themselves and to accept both the helpful and harmful qualities they find there, they will blame the gods and other people, and they will always find scapegoats. Until they are willing to face their fears, I and my descendants will remain here to care for the scapegoats. Go and join them now. There is food and warmth waiting for you." The young goat ran, bleating in relief and joy, to find his herd. So it's a sweet story, sort of. And for me, this story is important for a couple of reasons, and it has to do with the inner arc of discovery and how to find our thread, who we are, and then to do that on purpose. See, for me, one of the things that got in my way, and maybe it's true for you, is self-judgment, self-criticism, and blame. And also blaming other people too, and feeling victimized by, you name it, right? And along the way, I was fortunate enough to have teachers, and I hope I'm that for you, that suggested that that path was not a very helpful path. And instead began to teach me about how the inner arc of discovery can't happen unless we are willing to experiment in our lives and therefore fail. Failure was the equivalent of a bad word in my family. We were not going to fail. We were going to do everything right. We were going to succeed at all costs. We were not failing. But that's not possible. You know, when people are growing up, they fail all the time. We just don't look at it that way. The babies that are joining us today, oh my gosh, they fail all the time. They don't know how to use their body, and so they do all kinds of crazy stuff. They start to learn to crawl, and my little Archie man, he's my youngest grandson, you know, he's really a big kid. He's big. He's going to be a Goliath guy, but he doesn't have a disorder. And, you know, so this big body of him, you know, trying to learn to crawl was a real effort. And one of the cutest things I ever saw was he started to crawl, and he fell over and just sort of rolled like Humpty Dumpty. So we look at that and we think, how cute. When they're learning to walk and they go boom on their bum, we think, aw, how cute, because they crawl right over, get back up, and try again. But somehow we lose that understanding that that experimentation, which was so critical to those children finding their way into childhood and adulthood, doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And I have to tell you that the only people that I've met that are truly happy in life and are living their purpose are people who have figured this out and are willing to experiment and fail. But they don't call it failure. They call it life lessons. And they learn from every single one, just like the baby who falls when he's trying to walk, crawls over, grabs the couch, climbs up, and then tries again. At any age, we too can be like that, allowing life to be a grand laboratory of experimentation that helps us understand who we are, what we're capable of, which is way more than most of us think, and that in the experimenting, we discover our true nature, the part of our nature that is indelible, the thread that does not change. So I was thinking of Edison when I was thinking about this talk, because I recently heard a podcast about Edison, and of course the famous quote that he has all over the internet, because as soon as I typed in Edison failure, boom, there were like a million. I'm not sure artificial intelligence is that great, you know, because now I have too much going on, but here's the quote. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's the attitude. That's the attitude. I haven't failed. I've just found ways that don't work. And so when we're moving in the inner arc of discovery and we're inviting into a new experience, what do most of us do? Maybe not you, but I know in me there's a hesitation. There's a place of, well, I don't know how to do that. I'm not sure. I might look really stupid. But more and more and more, whenever I hear that voice, the one that might have been my scapegoat personality self, I'm like, well, of course you're going to look stupid. You don't know how to do this. Go ahead. Do you want to? So I'm really having learning lessons, learning Spanish. And I'm doing Duolingo. Anybody? Yeah, and they've got it set up so that you're rewarded a lot when you do things that they want you to do. But unfortunately, I'm not perfect at every lesson, and so it's kind of like there's a sound it makes. Duolingo people know what I'm saying. There's a sound it makes when you don't get it right. It goes like this, boop boop, and then the character who's with you there goes. Thank you so much, but I already have that on an inner level. I don't need a reminder. Instead, and what's great about that program is that they give you a chance to make it up, to learn. And that's what we. So let me review. In our tradition, we understand that each of us is created with and by this incredible living presence. And that this presence created each of us completely uniquely. We're unique beings that were actually created that way on purpose so that we could offer something unlike anybody else in the whole world. And understanding that, then we begin the journey of our lives, discovering more and more fully through the inner arc of understanding and discovery what that is, what that unique part is, because early in our lives, our people that raised us don't want us to be unique. They want us to fit in. And a unique person doesn't. And so most of us had somewhat miserable experiences in school from time to time because we could kind of hide the uniqueness for a while, and then it would show up. Round peg, square hole. But not really. What was really happening was we were trying to fit into a system that had routinized itself to try to get the masses to be educated, when actually our unique self, while appreciating that to some extent, maybe, had a different agenda for us. And so as we moved through life, we began to discover what that agenda was. We began to be very much like David, more and more. And as we developed ourselves, there must have come a point for you, as there was for me, over and over, where we realized that playing victim, playing small, and blaming ourselves for faults was not the way to illuminate life and to bring the gifts that we bear into being. We had to take off that armor, the helmet of despair, so that we could actually bring who we were into the world. And that process is still happening. You're not done yet. You know how you'll know when you're done? You'll be dead. Super easy. So, super easy. There's a finite point here, and until you're there, there's this opportunity every single day to bring forward who we are, to live life on purpose. So let me do a prayer, and we'll get to the tables outside, perhaps. So join me in knowing there is indeed a deep, potent, unique expression that I am, that you are. And this comes from being birthed from the divine, resident within, surrounding us at all times. The inner spirit has taken shape as our own unique being, seeking always to express that uniqueness and bring forward the gifts of that unique expression to the world as it is. As I know this, I understand then that being gifted, being unique, there is both a responsibility and an opportunity before me at every stage of my life, in every situation. To live from truth is both the responsibility and the opportunity that I've been gifted by the Spirit that dwells within. And so I do say yes. I say yes, accepting that there is a place for me in this world, that I am here on purpose, and allowing that purpose to flow from me, in me, and as me more and more fully as I journey through this life. I know I'm supported by a power and a love that has no limit. And so I step out, knowing that I am indeed supported. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so our ushers are preparing for the offertory. And I'd like to thank you ahead of time for any gifts that you give to the center today, but also I know many of you give on a regular basis, and we deeply appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All I love is all around me. All around me there is love. Like a sea of open water and the trees that rise above. I know that I am worthy of the gifts that love can bring. All I love is all around me. Love is everything. All I love is all around me. All around me there is love. Lifts me up if I let it, especially when I give it up. There is no limit to its magic, so I raise my voice and sing. All I love is all around me. Love is everything. Sing with us, all I love. All I love is all around me. All around me there is love. Like a sea of open water and the trees that rise above. I know that I am worthy of the gifts that love can bring. All I love is all around me. Love is everything. Love is everything. Love is everything.
Okay, now I'm going to bring Kathy Angel on up here, and I'm going to encourage you to listen to every word she says, but not forget the rest of the announcements. 'Cause oh, let me get you a mic. Here you go.
Okay, thank you. Drum roll, please. Okay, today is the final day of bidding. The final countdown for Gourmets for Good will be at noon today. How many of you have ever been here on the end of the bidding, the last bidding day of Gourmets for Good? Okay, a lot of you. Well, let me tell you, it is excitement. People are running around. People are on their phones, checking in with their partners. Can we go up higher? Can we go up higher? Anyway, this is we have 16 wonderful events put on. They're all around food, okay? And so you get to bid for a place at the table. And if you don't have a bid number, they will still be giving them out today until quarter till, and so that you can still bid. There are some great dinners today, Asian fusion, rhythm and blues, guys and grills, Let the good times roll with Bunko, pause for pasta, clean green eating, dinner and a show, 100-acre woods and hike, Dougie's gourmet burgers both ways, paella redux, clam fritters by the bay, crabtacular, ruin your day fiesta, wine lovers circle, soup sipping soiree, and afternoon reading with an inspired medium. And so great dinners, such a variety. And so just a reminder about how to bid is that every dinner has a maximum number of guests. So on our example, there's 3 here, and the starting bid is 20. And so ultimately, when they figure out the winners, they're going to look at the highest bidder. So for that dinner, they'd find the 3 highest bidders. Okay, and so when you're bidding, you can look and see how many people are they accepting into that dinner, and then you only have to, then you can kind of count up and see who the 3 highest bidders are, the 8 highest bidders. So that's kind of how you figure out where you are in the bid sheet. And the other thing the organizers wanted me to make sure you knew is that they start counting from the top. So let's say there are 3 people who've bid $60, but they can only take one of them. They'll go to the first one who bid $60, okay? So bid high, bid often. And remember, bidding ends at noon. All right, thank you.
We'll be out there to help them if they need.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Susan and Sandy.
One thing that I meant to say, and I didn't say because this is so important, is that if you're new here especially, or you've been coming a while and you don't know many people, this is a fabulous way to get to know other people in the congregation. I mean, who here have been to dinners before? Yeah, a lot of you. And would you agree with me that this is an amazing, amazing way to get to know people? And every dime goes back to this center. So everybody wins. And then you get this wonderful, nourishing experience.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. That's my favorite part of it, is getting to know people that maybe I haven't had a chance to actually sit down. I hardly ever do sit down and talk to. And so definitely. So all of the tables out there have bid sheets on them and a full description of the dinners and other events that are happening, as well as the number of people that can come. And some of them say, good for children too. And so I want to point out one in particular, one thing, because every year that we've done this, the men have gotten together, some of them, to offer what's called Guys and Grills. And they came together because a lot of these bids are out of people's price range. You know, like if you look at Crabtacular, it's out of my price range. And so they wanted to provide a big event. So there's 30 spaces. They wanted it to be something that a whole bunch of people, including children, could come to. And they wanted to have the bid be even. And if you look on the Guys and Grills bid sheet, a lot of us have bid up anyway because we know it's going to the center. But if you have a limited budget, be sure and look at Guys and Grills and see if it fits with your calendar, especially if you have children. There are lawn games and all kinds of things going on. So wanted to make you aware of that. And there's a couple others, including Joe's and mine, where children are welcome. So just saying. So, okay, that's the big announcement of the day. But let me tell you a couple other things, because there are other things going on. First of all, at the Ask Me desk in the back, we received in the mail, I don't know, there's maybe 30 tickets to the Linden Jordan World Circus. So if you want to take anybody to the circus and you want free tickets, they're back there for you. And tomorrow, I want to make sure you remembered that Conversations in Consciousness is still happening on Zoom, and it's on Monday nights from 7 to 8. And tomorrow, they're exploring the feeling of connection, what enhances it, and what diminishes it. So that's a really cool thing. If you would like to be a part of that conversation, email Kalish or talk to her after the service. There she is, after the bidding probably. And she'll tell you more about it and give you the Zoom link for that. Let's see. So today we are having ivy removal in the 100-acre woods as part of a Earth Steward event that we're sharing with the Multi-Faith Climate Change Network. And thank you to all of you who signed up. We've had a couple people drop off. If you are free to come, it's from 12:30 to 3. You can come for all or part of it. They're having snacks. All the tools are provided. And we'd love you to be a part of it if that fits with your schedule. And today is the last Women's Circle of the season. We take the summer off. And so if you have not visited, feel free to come and be a part of the circle. We'll be starting a little after 12, I suspect, and we will be in here. And it's all based on what I was talking about today, so really wonderful. I am a soul collage facilitator, and I'm not going to explain what that means because I want to get you to the bidding because we don't have much time. But I'm teaching a 3-week class on that, actually offering an opportunity to make soul collage cards on Tuesday nights starting May 30th. You can sign up for that at the Ask Me desk. And the landscape team is having a tidying up party on June 3rd. It's a Saturday morning from 9 to about 12:30, and then we're providing lunch. So love to have you be a part of it. All the rest of this can wait. We've got a bid. Okay, sing quick.
All right, well, let's sing out into this day. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, I will love. Where there is hatred, I will love. Where there is sadness, I will bring joy. Where there is darkness, I will shine. I am an instrument of peace. Sing, I am an instrument of peace. I am an instrument of peace. Let's sing that a few more times. I am an instrument of peace. I am an instrument of peace. One more time, sing it out. I am an instrument of peace. Happy bidding, you all. Have a great week, and we'll see you again soon.